Namaste. Today I'm going to read Volume 3, Book 4, KotiRudra Samhita, Chapter 17, The Greatness of Jyotirlinga, Mahakala and the Shiva Puran. Hariyam Tatsat. The sages said, O most excellent one, please mention again the greatness of the Jyotirlinga Mahakala, the protector of his devotees. Sutta said, O Brahmins, listen with intent to the devotion-enhancing greatness of Mahakala, the protector of the devotees. In Ujjaini, there was a king, Chandrasena, a devotee of Shiva, who had conquered his sense organs and who knew the principles of all sastras. O Brahmins, the Gana, Manibhadra, honored by the people, the chief of the Ganas of Shiva, was a friend of that king. Once the liberal-minded Gana chief, Manibhadra, gave him the great jewel, Chintamani, out of pleasure. The jewel was as brilliant as the sun. It shone like Kaustubha. It blessed auspiciously when meditated upon, heard of, or sighted. Anything made of bell metal, copper, tin, or stone touched with its brilliant surface turned into gold. Wearing that gem round his neck, the king Chandrasena, dependent on Shiva, shone well like the sun in the midst of gods. On hearing that the excellent king Chandrasena had the Chintamani around his neck, the kings on the earth were agitated in their hearts due to greed. The kings, ignorantly trying to rival with him, begged of Chandrasena that jewel secured from the god. They used various means to get the jewel. O Brahmins, the importunity of the kings was rendered futile by Chandrasena, a staunch devotee of Shiva. Disappointed and offended thus by him, the kings of all the lands became wrathful against him. Then the kings, fully equipped with the 4 types of armies, attempted to conquer Chandrasena in the battle. They joined together, consulted, and conspired with one another. With a vast army, they laid siege to the 4 main gates of Ujjaini. On seeing his city thus attacked by the kings, the king Chandrasena sought refuge in Mahakaleshwara. Without doubts and hesitations, without taking in any food, that king of steady resolve worshipped Mahakala day and night without turning his mind to anything else. Then the Lord Shiva, delighted in his mind, concocted a means in order to save him. Listen to that with attention. O Brahmins, at that very time a certain cowherdess, roaming here and there in that excellent city, accompanied by her child, came near Mahakala. She had lost her husband. She carried her babe, 5 years old, with great devotion. She watched the Mahakala worship performed by the monarch. After witnessing the wonderful Shiva worship performed by him and bowing down, she returned to her camp. The son of that cowherdess, who had watched everything out of curiosity, thought of performing Shiva's worship similarly. He bought a fine pebble from somewhere and considered it his Shivalinga. He placed it in a vacant place not far from his camp. Various articles were conceived by him as sweet scents, ornaments, cloth, incense, lamp, rice, grains, and food grains in the course of his worship. Worshipping again and again with delightful leaves and flowers, he danced in various ways and made obeisance again and again. As his mind was engrossed in the worship of Shiva, the cowherdess, his mother called him to take his meals. When the son, engrossed in the worship, did not like to take meals, though called many times, the mother went there. On seeing him seated in front of Shiva with eyes closed, she angrily caught hold of his hand, dragged him, and beat him. When the son did not come away even after being dragged and struck, she threw the image far off and spoiled his worship. Rebuking her son, who was lamenting piteously, the infuriated cowherdess entered her house again. On seeing his worship spoiled by his mother, the boy fell down and lamented, O Lord, O Lord. In his excessive grief, he became unconscious suddenly. Regaining consciousness after a while, he opened his eyes. Immediately, the camp became a beautiful temple of Mahakala. Thanks to the blessings of Shiva, that child saw all these. The doorway was made of gold. There were excellent festoons at the doorstep. The temple had a shining dais set with costly and blue diamonds. The temple was equipped with many golden pot-like domes, shining jewel-bedecked columns, and the floor paved with crystal bricks. In the midst, the cowherd's son saw a jewel-bedecked linga of Shiva, the storehouse of mercy, along with the articles he used for worshipping. On seeing these, the boy was much surprised in his mind. He got up immediately. It seemed as if he was immersed in the ocean of great bliss. He eulogized and bowed to Shiva again and again. When the sun set, the boy came out of the Shiva temple. Then he saw his own camp, as beautiful as the city of Indra. It had been suddenly transformed into one of gold, of variegated nature, and shining much. He entered the house equipped with everything, brilliant and glittering in the night. Jewels and gold pieces were scattered everywhere. He was joyous. There he saw his mother sleeping. She was like a celestial lady, with all divine characteristics. Her limbs shone and glittered with ornamental jewelry. O Brahmins, then that son, the special object of Shiva's blessings, excited due to happiness, awakened his mother immediately. Getting up and seeing everything unprecedentedly wonderful, she was, as it were, immersed in great bliss. She embraced her son. Hearing everything of the benign favor of the Lord of Parvati, from her son she sent word of it to the monarch, who was worshipping Shiva constantly. The king, who had concluded the observance of rites during the night, came there immediately and saw the refulgence of the cowherd's son in propitiating Shiva. On seeing everything in the company of his ministers and chief priests, the king was immersed in the ocean of great bliss and emboldened, shedding tears of love and repeating the names of Shiva with pleasure. The king Chandrasena embraced the boy. O Brahmins, there was a great and wonderful jubilation. Excited with happiness, they sang the glorious songs of Lord Shiva. On account of this wonderful event, this manifestation of the greatness of Shiva, and the flutter in the midst of the citizens, the night elapsed as though it was only a moment. The kings who had besieged the city for an attack heard of this event in the morning through their spies. Extremely surprised on hearing it, the kings who had come there met together and consulted one another. The king said, "This king Chandrasena is a devotee of Shiva and hence invincible. The king of Ujjayini, the city of Mahakala, is never distressed. The king Chandrasena is a great devotee of Shiva, inasmuch as even children is in his city observe Shiva's rites. Certainly, Shiva will be furious if we offend him. We will be doomed if Shiva is furious. Hence we shall make an alliance with him. In that case, Lord Shiva will be compassionate to us." Suta said, "Thus deciding, the kings abandoned their enmity, they regained purity of mind, they were pleased, they abandoned their weapons and missiles. Permitted and encouraged by Chandrasena, they entered Ujjayini, the beautiful city of Mahakala, and worshipped him. Then they went to the house of the cowherdess. They praised her good fortune with divine blessings. They were welcomed and honored by Chandrasena there. Seated on a very worthy seat, they congratulated him and were surprised. Seeing the shrine of Shiva and the Shivalinga that rose up, thanks to the power of the son of the cowherdess, they fixed their mind in Shiva. The delighted kings sought the sympathy of Shiva and presented several valuable things to the cowherd boy. The kings made him the chieftain of cowherds in all their different lands. In the meantime, Hanumat, the brilliant lord of monkeys worshipped by the gods, manifested himself there. The kings were bewildered at his arrival. They rose up in reverence and made obeisance to him, perfectly humble in their devotion. Worshipped by them and seated in their midst, the lord of monkeys embraced the cowherd boy and glanced at the kings and said, Hanumat said, Weal unto ye all, O kings, and all the souls here, listen. Except Shiva, there is no other goal to human beings. This cowherd boy, fortunately, saw the worship of Shiva. Without the use of mantras, he worshipped Shiva and attained happiness. This boy, the most excellent devotee of Shiva, the enhancer of the glory of cowherds, shall enjoy all pleasures here and attain salvation hereafter. In his race, in the 8th generation, there will be a famous cowherd, Nanda. Vishnu himself will be born as his son, Krishna. Henceforth, this cowherd boy will attain glory all over the world in the name of Shrikara. Sutta said after saying this, the son of Anjana, the lord of the monkeys in the form of Shiva, mercifully glanced at the kings and Chandrasena. He then initiated the intelligent cowherd child, Shrikara, with pleasure in the rites of Shiva, pleasing to the Lord. O Brahmins, even as all of them were glancing at Chandrasena and Shrikara, the delighted Hanumat vanished there itself. The delighted kings, who were duly honored, took leave of Chandrasena and returned the way they had come. The brilliant Shrikara, initiated by Hanumat, appropriated Shiva along with Brahmins well versed in sacred rites. The king Chandrasena and Shrikara, the cowherd boy, worshipped Mahakala with great devotion and pleasure. In due course, Shrikara and Chandrasena, appropriating Mahakala, attained the great region of Lord Shiva. Such is the phallic form of Shiva Mahakala, the goal of the good, the slayer of the wicked, in every respect, who is favorably disposed towards his devotees. Thus the great secret, the sanctifying narrative that bestows all happiness, conducive to heaven, and enhancing devotion to Shiva, has been narrated to you. Footnotes. (146) A complete army consists of elephants, chariots, cavalry, and infantry. 147. Anjana, mother of Hanumat, was the daughter of Kunjara and wife of Kesaran. Once she was seated on the summit of a mountain, her garment was slightly displaced, and the god of wind, being enamored of her beauty, assumed a visible form and asked her to yield to his desires. She requested him not to violate her chastity, to which he consented. But since he fixed his desire on her, she conceived a son who was named Hanumat. Here ends today's reading of the Shiva Puran. That's